Hi everybody, it's Brian here. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. So over the weekend, I had the opportunity to just kick back and relax for a little bit, which is rather unusual for me. But nevertheless, I had a half an hour and I was just sitting around, lounging about, and I thought, let me just grab my cell phone and scroll through Redbubble and basically see what kind of designs pop up on my feed. And to be very honest with you, there were some which were absolutely amazing, but there were some which were absolutely disastrous. And I thought to myself, what a great opportunity to obviously take those designs, show them on a particular video, and to discuss what didn't work on them so that obviously we can use it as a learning experience for any and all future designs that we create and upload on our respective print-on-demand designs. So hang tight. I certainly hope that I didn't choose your design. Could it be? I don't know. Stay tuned. Now, before we continue with today's episode, the fact that you're here means, one, you're actually curious to see if your design actually appeared on this list. But secondly, kidding aside, that you're interested in all things pertaining to print on demand. And for that, I want to wholeheartedly welcome you to this episode and indeed to my channel. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for being a part of my community. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash that bell notification icon so that you'll be informed each and every time that I upload a new video to my channel. I upload videos every Wednesday and Saturday, and the scope of this channel is to help you take your print-on-demand business to the next level and obviously put yourself in a great position to make loads of sales. So now with that said, let's head over to my computer and see which designs made it on my
Disastrous Designs lists.
Okay, so welcome to my screen, everybody, and as you can see, I've got the title page up for today's photo presentation of the disastrous designs that I found simply by scrolling through the Redbubble feed on my cell phone device over the weekend, just basically to see what kind of designs were being put up there and effectively how many of those designs were of quality and how many of them sadly weren't. So let's get started. Hope that you are ready. Here we go. So the first design, as you can see here, is of a mouse pad. And as you can see here, we clearly see that the text in the design is clearly cropped out. It shows that the creator of this design did not take the time or the effort during the upload process to make sure that the design that probably he or she spent quite a bit of time creating, that it looked the best it could possibly look on all the products that were up on Redbubble. Now, the title of this particular design is Everything is Possible for One Who Believes. And when I went through all the products that this designer had this design activated on, I found that there were 82 products that this design was available on. Of the 82, 44 products had a poorly placed design on it. So if a customer had to visit this particular designer's shop, what kind of message would that be sending to the customer if he or she were browsing through all of the available products with this design? I mean, it's not that bad of a design. When I looked at it on the t-shirt, it really looked great. But if this creator wanted to have this design effectively showcased on 82 plus designs, for those 44 products, that person should have taken the time and actually made sure that the design looked the best it could possibly look on all of those products. Customers who visit a shop where the designs aren't properly placed, that they're cropped off or they just don't look good, normally sends a message to the customer that, hey, this designer does not really take this game very seriously and probably will bounce off to another shop. So the takeaway from this particular design is that if you're going to use a text-heavy design, or any design for that matter, make sure that it looks good on all of the products that you're having it activated for. Okay, the next one. Dreams something when you something. Obviously, we can see that we've got a sticker over here and that the choice of color for the font for these words which cannot make out, we can see that the designer selected white as the color of the font, which obviously in this particular case did not work for the particular sticker because clearly when somebody sees it on the mock-up here, as we can see it here, well, clearly it's not going to be very appealing at all. Now, the title for this design was Dreams Work When You Do. And the creator of this design had this design available on 84 products. Of those 84 products, 25 of them had poorly placed design. which is actually quite a substantial amount when you're thinking 25 out of 84 products. Basically 25 products that nobody is ever going to buy. And if they're not going to buy, you're not going to be making any sales. So you need to make sure that when you are actually creating a product, particularly if it has a white color font, obviously this must have been a design which was going to look really great on a black colored t-shirt or a dark colored t-shirt. And in fact, it did. But when we looked at the stickers, the magnets, the water bottles, anything else that had white as the default background, okay, even the long t-shirts and the active t-shirts, this design did not come through as it should have. And that means that money is being left on the table and nobody's going to buy this particular design. So the takeaway from this particular design is if you are going to use white color font and you are going to showcase it on any and all of the other products that are available through the print-on-demand platform that you are selling on, make sure that either A, you select a dark background so that the white color of the font will come through, or else change the color of the white font to another color and then upload a variation of that design so that it will look good, as we can see here on the sticker. Clearly, this was not the case, and this is why it made it on the list of disastrous designs. Okay, number 3. Are you ready? So here we have a nice black cap. Clearly, there is a design on it, but unfortunately, the creator of this design did not take the time to upload a variation of the design with white color font, or else did not select a light color for the caps. Black was selected, and as a result, we cannot see what the design was meant to be. In fact, the title of the design was absolutely nothing. There was no title for the design, and this design was available on 62 products. Of those 62 products, 21 of them had a poorly placed design. So clearly we had something in black, which we don't know what it is. Clearly we're not going to see it on the mock-up of this cap, which means that a potential customer is going to see it, say, I am not spending $18, $19, $20, $25 on a black cap from Redbubble when I can easily get it cheaper from Walmart or someplace else. So whoever created this design left money on the table. Okay, the next one. Are you ready? I don't think this cat is ready, but we're going to give it a go nevertheless. Okay, so what do we have over here? We've got this design which is relatively hovering over the belly area of obviously the model in this mock-up. This is actually a huge mistake when placing a design on a t-shirt. More often than not, people like purchasing designs where the design is effectively located across the chest area of the t-shirt as opposed to the stomach area. Add on to that we have a very, very hard to read font, and it's also light color in nature, which has now been placed on a white colored t-shirt. So unfortunately, there is nothing working for this particular design. It's actually working against it. And if we had to look at the title of this design, there was no title provided for this one either. It was available on 60 products, and it was poorly placed on 25 of those products as well. Again, the bulk of them were all across the stomach area for the t-shirt apparel. Then in terms of some of the other household items like the mugs, the buttons, the clocks, it was just simply widened over the product and you could barely see what the design was all about. So the takeaway from this particular design is that if you are going to be choosing a very unusual style of font to obviously try and put a point across, make sure that 1, it's large enough to be seen, 2, that it's placed properly across the chest area on a t-shirt, and 3, that you choose a color of either A, the t-shirt background, or B, the actual font style, so that there will be contrast to the opposite. So in this case, I would have definitely chosen a darker color for the font so that it would actually appear nicely on the white color t-shirt, or else I would have selected a black colored t-shirt so that the yellow in this particular design would have stood out, and perhaps maybe it would have been more appealing and more legible to a potential customer when he or she is actually seeing this particular design in his or her feed. So unfortunately, this particular design also made it on my disastrous designs list, and hopefully you won't make the same error with any of your designs in the near to distant future. Okay, the next one. Are you ready? Here we go. Stand in a good stead. Okay, now clearly for those of you who are predominantly English speaking will already know what the error is. For those of you who may not be as proficient in English, well, we're going to do a little bit of explaining here. Okay, first of all, this particular design was only available on 20 products, so the creator of the design was rather selective and wanted to make sure that the bulk of the designs did appear on the t-shirt apparels, and that's absolutely fine. And in fact, it was properly placed on the 25 products. But unfortunately, the phrasing here is incorrect. We do not say stand in a good stead. Instead, we say standing in good stead, which effectively means that you are being useful or helpful to someone or to something. So it's very important, as the takeaway from this particular design, is that if English is not your first language, or maybe perhaps you're creating a phrase and the actual phrasing slips out of your mind, which happens to everybody from time to time, don't go ahead and put up a design, particularly if it's got a lot of text in it, without actually double checking. Now, how can you double check? Well, effectively, you can go onto the internet, open up a web browser, and just simply type in the phrase that you want to put in. If it's incorrect, then Google, for example, will actually give you the correct version of it that you can actually click on to make sure it is in fact what it is that you want to say in the message on your t-shirt. Or if you have somebody in your household or workplace who is very proficient in English, or maybe you just want to bounce the idea off them, then simply ask. There's no harm in asking. It's a lot better to change a design before it goes live on the print-on-demand platform of your choice, rather than having it go up, people seeing it, seeing that obviously it's a clear and blatant mistake, and then obviously bouncing from your shop in favor of making a purchase elsewhere. So definitely check your phrasing when you are creating a text design, or effectively any design that is going to have text in it. The next design, are you ready? Here we go. Okay, I'm going to give you a moment to try and figure out what the text in this design is actually saying. And can you figure out why it made it on this disastrous design list? Well, if you haven't guessed it yet, it all pertains to the size and selection of the font style. As you can see here, it is very, very difficult to read. The font was chosen in a script style. It was all typed out in capital letters. There was actually no spacing between the word night and owl. Yes, it's night owl. Okay, and because of the fact that we have this unsightly blue stroke around it, which isn't really bright, it actually makes it even harder to read. Okay, now the placing of the design is not bad, but again, the font selection and the color and the font style, being in capital letters, does not help this design, and it doesn't work at all. Now, the title for this design was Night Owl, and it was available on 82 products. And in this particular case, it was properly placed. So I will give the creator of the design credit for that. However, the font choice is terrible. It's hard to read, and unfortunately, it's not appealing at all. Next one. Are you ready? Here we go. Well, we've got another mouse pad over here. As we all know, mouse pads and desk mats have become rather popular on Redbubble, being one of the more recent products available on the platform. And again, as we can see here, unfortunately, the creator of this particular design just allowed it to be activated on the mouse pad, but did not do any kind of resizing or, proper placement of this particular design at all. And in fact, the title for this design was, it's rather hefty and long, As a real man, I do what I want, when I want, where I want, except I gotta ask my wife. She is my queen. So it's quite a mouthful for a title. But again, there's nothing wrong with that, although I wonder how many people would actually type out this full phrase if they were searching for it. But aside from that, this particular design was available on 90 products. And when I actually went through the actual number of products that are available, this design was poorly placed on 64 of these products. So 64 products where nobody in their right mind is actually going to stop and make a purchase, particularly given the pricing that one finds on these print-on-demand platforms. Guys, if you want to make the sales, you've got to take the time and make sure that, your design looks great on all of the designs that you are making available. If it doesn't look good, or if you don't have the time to create a variation for that particular design, deactivate it. Don't let it go up. It's only going to discredit you. It's going to make your shop look unprofessional, and the chances of people coming back to revisit your shop is going to be negligible at best. Okay, so the next design, are you ready? She's definitely not. Okay, we've got a laptop sleeve cover and it says, "What you are sowing, you will reap." This is somewhat similar to the design that we saw 2 postings ago on this particular list, where we have "What you are sowing, you will reap." Clearly, this is a grammatical error. In fact, the title of this particular design is "Sowing Love," which there's nothing wrong with that. It was available on 90 products, but unfortunately it was poorly placed on 18 of those products. And again, phrasing here is incorrect. In fact, it should have read, "You will reap what you sow." So if the creator of this design is actually watching this particular episode, take a look at the phrase the way it should be, go in, fix it up, and put it back up on the marketplace, and hopefully you'll start making more sales. Because, the clip arts aren't that bad. It's quite a cute design, but unfortunately the phrasing is incorrect. And people who are very proficient in English are not going to make a purchase for something which is clearly, blatantly incorrect, and not incorrect on purpose, because there are some designs where you will see mistakes on it, but they're done on purpose to emphasize a point or to make a joke. Clearly this was not the case in this particular design, so please go in, make the correction, and hopefully you'll make more sales. Okay, now here we go. Are you ready for the next one? Don't judge a book by its cover. Can you figure out what the mistake is in this particular design? I'll give you a few moments. Okay. So if you said that the word "its" is incorrect, then you are absolutely correct. In this particular case, when you have the word "it" apostrophe "s," which is a conjugation of the 2 words "it is," if you had to read it in a non-conjugated manner, it would say, "Don't judge a book by its cover," which clearly does not make sense. Instead, that apostrophe should be removed. So it should be, "Don't judge a book by its cover." Its is the possessive. In this particular case, the design would have been much more efficient and grammatically correct without the apostrophe. So you guys, the takeaway from this particular design is that you have to be very, very careful, even with respect to punctuation. One small apostrophe, one small syntax error can change the whole dynamic of a design and really turn people off from wanting to make a purchase. So anybody who's clearly proficient in English and knows the difference between "its" apostrophe "s" and "its" would definitely not take out their credit card to buy this design. Another thing that I would also suggest in this particular case is that the spacing between the words is too great. There's too much empty space between each word, and it really doesn't look good on the shirt as well. So unfortunately, this particular design has made it on my disastrous design list for today. Now, as you can see, the title was also misspelt over here, and I actually typed it verbatim so that obviously I could get the point across. It was available on 59 products, and unfortunately it was poorly placed on 40 different products. And what made it poorly placed was the fact that the bulk of the products went up, white in color. White t-shirts, a lot of products with a white background, and the fact that he or she used a yellow color font, it was very, very difficult to read. So just imagine if somebody's using a cell phone to browse through a particular print-on-demand shop and they see this design, the fact that they can actually make out what the actual phrase is, they're not going to stop to look at it or to delve deeper into. They're just going to continue scrolling along, and you would have lost a potential sale. Okay, so this particular takeaway, be careful of the grammar, be careful of the spacing, and obviously be careful of the color choice for your font, particularly if you're going to be using a light colored background, be it t-shirt, your pins, your mugs, your cups, what have you. Okay, and again, it should have read, "Don't judge a book by its cover." So if the designer is actually seeing this particular video and you are the one who created it, go into the back end and make the change, and hopefully you'll start making sales. So there you have it, everybody. Those were 9 disastrous designs that we looked at that hopefully we will have learned from to make sure that we don't emulate any of these mistakes on our own particular designs. Now, I do want to take a moment here and state that in no shape or form am I criticizing the designers as the people who they are. In fact, all I'm criticizing is actually the design itself. Everybody can potentially make a mistake. Everybody can let something slip from time to time. And indeed, there are a lot of people who are relatively new to this game. And in fact, a number of these designs did come from shops where, the number of designs in the shops was less than 50. So clearly, these people who are relatively new to the game. And you know what? I certainly hope that they do get the opportunity to watch this design, not because I want to put them down, far from it, but I want them to take this as a learning experience to see what they can do in order to improve upon their design making skills so that, they will actually start making more sales for their shops. Very often I get a lot of comments and I hear a lot of people grumbling at the fact that, they're just not making any sales. But you know what, to be very, very honest, if your designs are not great, you can't expect that you're going to be making any sales. People are just not going to fork out the amount of money that, a lot of these products are being sold for on these various print-on-demand platforms. Given the fact that the products on these print-on-demand platforms are unique, it's not the run-of-the-mill that you're going to find at Walmart or Target or whatnot. They are created by artists. They are created by designers who you are not going to find in bulk loads anywhere and all over the place. These products are going to be a lot more expensive. And anybody who's going to select to make a purchase from any of these print-on-demand platforms have got to have the confidence that when they select the add to cart button, that design is going to be the best it can possibly be, and it's going to ring and it's going to resonate with that particular customer. Unfortunately, the designs that we saw in today's episode, there was no chance of that ever happening. So again, it's not about the person, it's about the design. So whether or not it was your design or not, I really want you to hopefully take away some really important lessons from this particular episode and make sure that the mistakes that we saw in today's designs do not happen or do not occur in your own respective shop. So I really hope that you got value out of today's episode. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, don't forget to smash that like button. It does wonders for the YouTube algorithm. It also shows me that you are really interested in these kind of, episodes, and I can do more of them in the future if you do. If you liked it, just drop a comment in the comment box below. But for today, that's all I've got. And as always, be safe, be well, be creative. Bye for now.